حسن صحيح عنده أعلى صحة يعني في الغالب يكون من المتفق عليه. هذا تقريبا ما يقارب الصحيح عند غيره، وقل ما تجد حديثا يحكم عليه بأنه حسن صحيح يكون فيه كلام. في الغالب لن تجد. أي إذا قال حسن صحيح في الغالب أن يكون يوافق عليه غيره. أما حسن فسر مراده المقصود بقول الحسن، وإذا قال هذا حديث غريب فإنه في الغالب ضعيف عنده. هناك كتب مخصصة، هذا طبعا باب في المصطلح تدرسه في كتب المصطلح، لكن هناك من خص الكلام في هذه المسائل، بل ليس مسألة بالتأليف، كتب مؤلفة في قول الترمذي حسن، في تحسين الترمذي، دراسة أقوال الترمذي وأحكامه في الجامع. والله أعلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We reached chapter 8 of Kitab Al-Hudud, the book of prescribed punishments, which is Babu Hadd al-Khamr. Babu Hadd al-Khamr. Legal punishment for drinking alcoholic liquors, wine. All right. Much can be said with regards to khamr in Islam. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has condemned it, dispraised it. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the reality of it is that there are benefits that men take. Okay. Sakaran, wa rizqan hasana. Okay. Fruits. And how the sin of khamr and maisir and subhanallah is very interesting. Interesting how Allah mentioned the two together, paired. He mentioned khamr, wine, liquor, and gambling together. And there's obviously a what? A reason behind that. Okay. So what is the definition of khamr in Islam? Wine would intoxicate. So that would mean a drug is khamr?
Something that envelops your body.
Something that covers your head, puts a khimar on your brain. Causes demonic behavior, what? Befogs the mind. Allah musta'an. Well, you can say that about a lot of things, brother. Allah knows best. Many things cloud a man's judgment. Now, all right, this is a very important question. We know that in drugs, intoxicants, narcotics, haram, for sure. There's no doubt about that. But are they khamr? That's the question. Or is khamr something special and specific? There are parallels. There are things which spill over to the next ice cube slot, but are they the same? Khamr is a drink, he says.
It has a
Specific effect.
Yeah, we refer to it like my tribe in Africa when we say khamr, which is also bad. The two words, but the khamr we borrow from Islamic people, borrow from Arabic. We refer to only like alcohol, whatever you drink.
Something drinking, not smoking. All right, tayyib, jazakallahu khairan. Anybody else? It's an important discussion. All right, tayyib. Now, we don't have that much time, so I don't want to get stuck or caught up on the whole concept of fermentation and distilling. If something is fermented or distilled, is it automatically haram? The general rule is that if a lot of it gets you drunk, then a little bit is unlawful. Also, what is the ruling on using khamr for medicinal purposes? Why is it important to make a difference or distinction between the two? That's the whole concept of medicinal marijuana. Whether it's halal or haram, somebody comes along and says it's lawful to use medicinal marijuana or unlawful, but it is not khamr. And the hadith clearly states that khamr is a what? A disease and not a what? Not a cure. But marijuana isn't khamr. It's haram, but it isn't what? Obviously, that's going to allow certain what? You get the point I'm trying to make? All right, that's a discussion in itself. Is it lawful to use khamr for necessity? For medicinal necessity? Can you drink khamr if you're dying of thirst? How much can you drink? Or is it lawful? It's lawful, so bismillah. Or you can only have just enough to get by. Which of the two? It's a real discussion. So you can't fill or your belly on pork. Just what? Just enough to survive. Tell you. What's the punishment of khamr? الكلام عن الخمر حقيقتها تعريفها المسائل المتعلقة بالخمر مثلا هل الحشيش مثلا المخدرات هذه المنتشرة هل هي داخلة في كلمة الخمر؟ حكمها واضح جدا لا يجوز تعاطيها من الخبائث لكن الأحكام الفقهية بعضها قد تختلف فداخلة. طيب. Anybody else? All right, these are some discussions. What is the punishment for drinking alcohol? Ali. Or is it lawful for you to have any fermented drink? Or all fermentation is unlawful?
Scientifically, supposedly they say any orange juice has some
fermentation in it.
Some type of alcohol percentage. If you do some.
Is there a difference between food alcohol and alcohol?
Alcohol.
It's very important. Is there such thing called food alcohol? He says yes. Kombucha.
They will warn you to say content alcohol, they will give you percentage in case people don't do that.
Food alcohol, it is. But they say, I've read different opinions that say that it's not considered khamr because of the physical composition of it.
It's totally different. That's the question I'm trying to get to. Hence, the halal, you can't use this soap or toothpaste or, it's a long what? All right.
The alcohol, the isopropyl, that's different.
The same. All right, cologne.
Different type.
Can a man have cologne with alcohol in it or not?
I used to use cologne, but now I want to clarify on that. So if I can stop, if I can continue.
I know some brothers that'll spend $300-400 on a small bottle of cologne and not consider it israf. Some brothers, Knight's Bridge, huh? Allah al-Musta'an. You support the kuffar, Zionists, right? Allah al-Musta'an. Some brothers have tobacco in their cologne with no shyness whatsoever. In the holy city of Mecca. Allah al-Musta'an. May Allah help the ummah. Mahad, what you think? Can you use cologne? Or is cologne haram? Allahu Akbar. It's nice. It's not a beetle, but it's something similar. It's not the average bug. Right. What's the ruling on using cologne? What's the difference between the types? What are the two main types of cologne? Anybody know?
Are you drinking it?
You read a bottle. It says either this or perfume or... Okay, what's the difference? Which is stronger? What's your name? All right, answering the question, can you use cologne or not, is based on another issue. هذا ينبني على مسألة وهي هل الخمر نجسة العين ولا نجسة المعنى يعني نجاسة معنوية. Is alcohol physically najis or is it morally najis? If you say that it's morally najis and not physically, one can say you can use the spray. But if you say that it is najis itself, as if you were spraying on your body, urine, methadone of a beast or an animal, this urine is unlawful. You guys got the point or not? These are all fiqh what? Fiqh discussions. Everybody clear on this? These are all fiqh discussions. All right, khairan inshallah. All right, what is the discussion of khamar culturally speaking? Culturally speaking. Culturally, what is the position or status of wine and liquor in culture? Having a good time. It's associated with fun, merriness, all right, joy, festivities, celebrations. All right, here we go. Keep going. Social classes. People that are rich and wealthy, they drink this. People that are low and they drink what? They drink that. I'll tell you, English, easy. Tell you. I'll say, all right, I'll tell you. I didn't want to take you there, but you took me there. All right, tell you. Easy Jesus, huh? For sure. Okay. This is very important now. Classes. This is a sign and a mark of culture and sophistication. When you have no wealthy person accepted as a wine cellar, not a cabinet, not a drawer, not a section, but a full cellar of wines that have been aging for what? Decades. It's a sign, that's a mark of class. And obviously, if you become wealthy and you don't have a strong Islamic foundation, you'll end up imitating and copying them. You can't be filthy rich until you have caviar, so on and so forth. Very good. All right, Tayyip, what else do we have? There's much more in culture. There's a lot more. Sports.
You're saying,
Sports. Can you separate the two, sports from alcohol? Basketball, football, hockey, baseball, soccer. You go there and there's what in abundance? And no, champagne is only for the winners. A beer, there's no doubt. Rather, in some stadiums, they what? At certain teams from certain states. Won't mention no names. Bud Light, I never said Philly. All right, tell you, that's a fact. Is it lawful for Muslims to be a professional athlete in which you are indirectly, I said indirectly, a part of the advertisement of beer and the consumption of beer? All right. A third cultural reference of khamr. Fishing, such as?
You go on a fishing trip.
It's relaxing. You're on a boat. You got on the vest, and you.
Cold on back.
Tell you what else? Is there more? What is the association of khamr and zina? Love, sex, romance. The two are what? Intertwined. A romantic date, right? Trying to get a woman to lose her. All right? And the list goes on. That's very important, okay? Tell you what else? There's more. Maturity. I'm old enough to drink. It tastes nasty, it's disgusting, but at the same time, I'm old enough. Peer pressure. I don't want to drink. It's bad to drink. However, people around me are. You are such and such if you don't. There's more cultural reference. I'm sorry? Liquid courage. Explain that. What's liquid courage? People get tough when they get what? When they get drunk. You're really not that tough or brave, but you're drunk, so you start, and that leads to your demise, your detriment. Tayyip, there's more culture. What about culinary, cuisine, food? Absolutely. The Michelin star chef, he has to do what? Or even if he doesn't cook with it, in France or Italy or Germany or Manhattan or any top-notch restaurant, the steak, the Chilean sea bass is going to come out with what? White wine for fish, red wine for? Everybody understand this? That's a fact. And that has many ramifications and implications with regards to Muslims and mixing with non-Muslims and looking for the approval of non-Muslims. culture, silverware. That's a reality. All right, there's more. College, Allahu Akbar. The police in this city are told, do not break up this party. No matter what calls you get, no matter what complaints from the neighbors, do not go there and arrest anyone. This college party, these parties, they are money makers. Kids from around the country come to this college because our parties are infamous. It's known. Let them drink, let them do what? Who cares? This happens, someone's window gets broken, big deal. The thousands, the millions of money that we're going to get from grants and tuitions is worth it. So going to college, drinking, having fun, partying. All right, there's more. Mental illness, depression, drink away the what? The pain. I work to buy alcohol, and alcohol makes me lose money, and I have to. I lost my job because of alcohol. All right, there's more. Domestic. I grew up as a killer. I became a killer, a murderer, a maniac because I saw my work. Beat my mother to a pulp. Every night he would come home drunk. We were poor. She did something small. This was cooked too much, undercooked. Whack. And drink and drink and drink and drink and drink. Unfortunately, drunk driving, danger, injury. How many people become victims of drunk drivers? You're a good driver. You're an attentive driver, but okay. There's more. Buying and selling. How many Muslims who migrated from different countries have liquor stores? In Queens, in Brooklyn. Not to point the finger at nobody. You go into the deli, the bodega, and it's what? Khamar, kulluhu, ice cold. And the guy behind the counter is? We know where it's from. Okay? All right? You guys get the point. All right, is that totally baseless? Aren't there هناك من قال بأنه يجوز بيع الخمور في أمريكا وبريطانيا وكندا؟ يوجد من أفتى بهذا. بعض المفتين يقول يجوز بناء على المذهب الحنفي بأن جميع العقود الفاسدة في دار الحرب جائزة. لا موجود. So the fatwa states you can sell and do anything haram in America as long as it's to the kuffar. What happened to the masjid if all of the people who owned the stores couldn't sell alcohol anymore? Would the imam's salary be paid? So if he knows this, it's not but so far he can what? That's a problem. Raising your children off of that alcohol and gambling and lottery, what's going to happen? You wonder why your daughter doesn't want to wear khimar. You wonder why your son doesn't want to pray, why he's lazy, why he does this, because Allah al-Musta'an, du'as, right? It's a big problem, big problem. All right, anything else? Addiction, alcoholism, kidney, liver. Now I'm dying from alcoholism. Anything else? Unlawful children, zina. You get drunk and you one night stand, easily. Tayyib, anything else? Any other cultural references? Types of alcohol, types of liquor, with regards to race and region. The classes, but deeper than the class. Certain countries, regardless of the class, they're known. Absolutely. Cognac. 90% of cognac in the world is made where? Made, created. All right? Hennessy, right? Via what? All right, Tayyib. How many liquor stores we have on this block? There, all around. Right? Other liquors that regions are known for, such as? Rum, coming from what region? Caribbean. Tayyib. Beer. What countries are famous and infamous for beer? Germany or Holland. Malt liquor, Guinness, okay? Whiskey, sour mash. These are icons of culture. Racism, terrorism in this country. If there's a lynching, then the what wasn't far behind was a what? Jack Daniels. They go prohibition. And we can go on and on and on. The hypocrisy of the media, the double standards. Gangsters are bad, gangsters are evil, unless they're on a TV screen. If they're on a TV screen, Elliot Ness, Al Capone, how many movies about Al Capone? How many movies? The Untouchables, the gang, how many movies do they have? The people who idolized the gangster, who made the gangster a famous household name was the what? It was the media, it was Hollywood. I want to be like that when I grow up, Scarface. It's a reality. And the whole prohibition era is pertaining to what? The beer wars. Obadian versus Capone, Frank Nitti. And the list goes what? On and on. So khamr is a major part of life in society. That's the what? That's the moral of the story. So if it's something which is so important, so integral to life, then of course Islam is going to give it a good amount of what? Attention, instruction, guidance, and structure. Fahimna? We agree or not? No. Tayyib? And the list goes what? On and on. All right. Moonshine, right? Tayyib. Khair inshallah. You think prohibition was a mistake? Yes or no? Culturally speaking, not Islamically. You think it was a good idea, the prohibition era, or not? Bad idea. Hypocrisy. Nafis, what do you think? Also, a part of this discussion, once again, is racism. Many of the people who became bootleggers and bear kings, bear barons, it was based off of racial inequality. Poor, ability to work and to make anything for themselves and for their families. So the only choice was to go to the underworld. Irish scum. The only choice they had was to do what? Everyone understand this? It's a reality. All right, Tayyib. The painful history, but doesn't mean that it's not what? All right, khairan inshallah. And I'm sure there are many, many more cultural references with regards to khamr. Its types, its influence, its harm, its destructive nature, let alone on a personal level. I used to be alcoholic, my mother, my father, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, I lost my virginity because of alcohol. Date rape. Someone put something in your what? Your drink. Trafficking, sex trafficking, unfortunately. This young girl was trafficked. She was sold into prostitution through pornography because of a what? Because of a drink, etc. Khairan inshallah. All right. So the first hadith, it says, Hadith Anas قال جلد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الخمر بالجريد والنعال وجلد أبو بكر 40. حديث علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه أنه قال ما كنت لأقيم حدا على أحد فيموت فأجد في نفسي إلا صاحب الخمر فإنه لو مات وديته وذلك أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يسنه. باب قدر أصوات التعزير. حديث أبي بردة رضي الله عنه قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا يجلد فوق 10 جلدات إلا في حد من حدود الله. So chapter 8 states the legal punishment for drinking alcoholic liquors, wine, etc. i.e. it's haram and it is a major sin because there's a had. Hadith 1108 is narrated Anas radiallahu anhu. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam lashed a drunk with date palm leaf stalks and shoes. And Abu Bakr gave a drunk the punishment of 40 lashes. Hadith 1109 is narrated Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. I would not feel sorry for one who dies because of receiving a legal punishment except the drunk. For if he should die when being punished, I would give blood money to his family because no fixed punishment has been ordered by Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, the simplification of Hadith 1108 is what? is that khamr is haram. There is a set punishment for it. And that there are certain materials to be used for the flogging of the drunkard. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, it shouldn't be a whip. It says, bil jaridi wan ni'al. The stalks of the date palm tree and a shoe, a sandal. And a whip wasn't mentioned. Secondly, or thirdly, or fourthly, وَجَرَدَ Abu Bakr in Arba'in. Abu Bakr, not the Messenger of Allah, he used 40 stripes, 40 lashes, 40. Abu Bakr came up or decided or extracted the number of 40. So those are the main points of that hadith. Naam. Okay. And then we have the hadith of 1109 is the hadith of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said that if someone were to die being punished and had no big deal, unfortunately, except for the drunkard, because the Messenger of Allah never gave the okay, all right, tayyib. So, khamr being haram, clear. Khamr having a prescribed punishment in general, but the specifics, that's something we have to what? Get into. All right, let's move forward. No way, may Allah have mercy upon his soul, he says, and before we read this interpretation of this commentary, under any circumstance, are we promoting or condoning acts of violence against any human being or any jinni, human or demon? We aren't condoning and promoting you to beat someone, to beat yourself, to beat a Muslim or a non-Muslim, especially if they're Jewish. Anti-Semitic violence, we do not condone here at this masjid, in this class tonight, we don't. Other times maybe, but not tonight. Under any circumstance, are we promoting vigilantism? For you to take the law into your hand, and for you to beat someone that you felt doing something that you supposed is punishable by Islamic or Sharia law. Under any circumstance, do we have any political affiliations, ambitions, or connections? To the right, to the left, to any type of ism or class? And last but not least, we're over 1,000 hadiths into the book. We do not just wake up and say, today we're going to talk about killing and fighting and whipping and cutting off hands and stoning a fornicatress until they die. If you wish to hear about Aqidah or Tawbah or Mas al-Khuffain, then please go back to over maybe in the first 100, 200, 300 hadiths of the book. All right, tayyib. Khairan inshallah. No, we may Allah have mercy upon him, he states. Listen carefully with regards to his interpretation of that which is in Sahih Muslim. All right, so Imam Muslim rahimahullah ta'ala, he quotes, he says here, حدثنا محمد بن المثنى ومحمد بن بشار قال حدثنا محمد بن جعفر قال حدثنا شعبة قال سمعت قتادة يحدث عن أنس بن مالك أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أتي برجل قد شرب الخمر فجرده بجريدتين نحو 40. So the first hadith is reported by Anas as well in Sahih Muslim. Not saying it's not in Bukhari, but just reading from Sahih Muslim, that a man who drank alcohol was brought to the Prophet, and the Prophet, he whipped him, bijaridatayni, with 2 date palm leaf stalks, nahwa arba'in, approximately 40 times. He was whipped approximately what? 40 times. قال وفعله أبو بكر فلما كان عمر استشار الناس فقال عبد الرحمن أخف الحدود 80 فأمر به عمر. It states, and Abu Bakr did the same. When Umar was the caliph, istashara nasa, he sat down with his council, his entourage, his advisors. Sheikh Mukhtar, what do you think we should do about this? What's your opinion? How do you feel? Istishara an-nas. He sought the counsel of his cabinet, okay? And they, Abdurrahman bin Auf, naam, he said, Akhaful hudud. The slightest of hudud is what? 80. And that was what Umar did. What's meant by that? Akhaful hudud. ما معنى قولي أخف الحدود؟ يعني في ايش؟ What's the slightest had? 80 floggings, 80 lashes, 80 stripes. What's meant by that? What's meant by that? Akhaful hudud. The least punishment, but what's meant by that? But based off of what? Who's bare minimum? Aywa. You understand? The hudud which are what? Legislated in the Quran and the Sunnah. 100 floggings for Fahimta? So therefore, let us just deal with the what? That which is? All right, طيب. Okay, moving forward. النووي رحمه الله تعالى, he says, قوله جلد بجريدتين نحو 40 اختلفوا في معناها. فأصحابنا يقولون معناه أن الجريدتين كانتا مفردتين. جلد بكل واحدة منهما عددا حتى كمل من الجميع 40 أو كمل من الجميع 40. وقال آخرون ممن يقول جلد الخمر 80 معناه أنه جمعهما وجلد بهما 40 جلدة فيكون المبلغ 80. Did he use each one for 40? Or did he use both or one individually? All right, moving forward. What I want to focus on is what it states here. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, قوله ضربه بجريدتين وفي رواية بالجريد والنعال. أجمع العلماء على حصول حد الخمر بالجلد بالجريد والنعال وأطراف الثياب واختلفوا في جوازه بالصوت وهما وجهان لأصحابنا الأصح الجواز وشذ بعض أصحابنا فشرط فيه الصوت وقال لا يجوز بالثياب والنعال وهذا غلط فاحش مردود على قائله لمنابذته لهذه الأحاديث الصحيحة. قال أصحابنا وإذا ضربه بالصوت يكون صوتا معتدلا في الحجم بين القضيب والعصا فإن ضربه بجريدة فلتكن خفيفة بين اليابسة والرطبة ويضربه ضربا بين ضربين لا يرفع يده فوق رأسه ولا يكتفي بالوضع بل يرفع ذراعه رفعا معتدلا. No, he says on part of the hadith that they beat him with the stocks and the shoes, stocks and sandals. He says the ulama unanimously agree is that it is lawful to flog the drunkard in this manner, with stocks and with shoes. And atraf al-thiyab, clothes. Whether it be a towel or a person's garment, he puts it together and he, everyone understand this? And then say belt. La akhi. Lord. Okay, so Noe, he says, the scholars agree that these three things can be used. The stalks, the shoes, and, all right.
Can you explain
The stalk?
It's stalk, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there, right? Inshallah, it's coming right up. So the scholars, they differ. Can you use a whip or not? Some say yes and some say no. Why would they differ on that? First of all, it's not mentioned that he used it. Also, the nature of the whip, the damage that's going to be performed by the whip versus that's done by a stalk or a shoe. It's going to hurt. It's going to be humiliating. But the whip is in a class of what? By itself. All right? I'm talking about the history of what? Of this country. The psychological damage done. The systemic psychological damage that was inflicted upon those people. All right, so moving forward. And some scholars, they say it can't be done with thiyab, clothes, textiles, shoes, and sandals. No, he says, هذا غلط فاحش. That's rubbish. Bardo, huh? Nonsense. Because the hadith clearly what? And this should teach us is that if a scholar comes up with a statement, something cannot be done, should not be done, which is clearly textually proven, then it's what? It's bardo. طيب? It's غلط فاحش مردود على قائله, regardless of the level or the status of, that's a qaida from knowing. Not maybe, this clearly established. Several hadiths, the Prophet did this, said this, allowed the people to do it. Someone comes along and says, oh no, well, yani, then that's what? But he's an imam. He's our sheikh. May Allah have mercy on him. I'm sure he is a good sheikh, but not in this. Moving forward. Now, getting into the description of the whip. He says, Qala ashabuna. The Shafi'is, they say, وَإِذَا ضَرَبَهُ بِالصَّوْتِ يَكُونُ صَوْتًا مُعْتَدِلًا فِي الْحَجْمِ. First and foremost is the size of the whip, the thickness of the whip. It should not be extreme, either of the two extremes. It's not to be too small and puny, nor is it to be so long and thick that it, all right? Moving forward, he says, they also say, and it has to be khafifatan, moderate. It can't be too dry, nor can it be too fresh. Something which is totally, brittle, nor can it be totally what? All right, it has to be, obviously, not to inflict that type of damage upon the one who's being punished. Moving forward, he says, فَلَا يَرْفَعُ يَدَهُ. And the nature of the beating, he is not to take his hand above his head. Think about that. So right now I'm whipping somebody for me to what? Versus the dynamics of it. Tell you the physics involved of beating somebody. The hook in which you what? You twist and spin with the shoulder versus a check hook. Tell you. All right, tell you. Look at the mercy of Islam. Think about that. Beating someone in which you can't what? How hard can I possibly hit you? So Islam is brutal, it's barbaric, it's savage, it's archaic, it's outdated, it's medieval, it's bloodthirsty. Have they read anything from this? Even if you still disagree, there shouldn't be no beating. But you have to give the what? The fairness to the argument. Moving forward. وَلَا يَكْتَفِي بِالْوَضْعِ بَلْ يَرْفَعُ ذِرَاعَهُ رَفْعًا مُعْتَدِلًا. Nor can you just touch the person with it. But it has to, your form has to be raised. Everybody clear on this or not? Balance, moderation. So even at the time of punishment, there is still mercy. And there's still respect for the human being. Respect for what? For the human being. This country, its legislation, respect for human beings. What's going on in the world today, what's happening as we speak. Respect for human beings, human rights. You be the judge of that. We're going to systematically starve the people. We're going to force them from the north to the south to cleanse the area, to annex the area, as they go and line up for food and measly beans and rice, we're just going to shoot at them every day. And when we're asked or questioned, we're looking into it. We're investigating it. They were told not to move from that area or that section. They were suspicious. They approached the tank, so we had to. Something is wrong, and something is, that's just extremely disrespectful to everything. To religion, to faith, to humanity, to the supposed laws of this country. If you are a United States war veteran, you should be appalled at what has been happening over the last 100 years, let alone the last 2 years. It should make your stomach sick. I fought, I served my country. Look what they're doing and saying. Just trampling over everything. No respect for human life whatsoever. But the moment, as we said, any type of questioning, the guy who walked down the street, with the army uniform, with the baby. He said, keep quiet, it's what? Anti-Semitic. Baby with his legs. I don't understand. Need we rant any further? Has anybody ever seen a baby missing their legs? How vile and evil can you be? How cowardly can you be? May Allah help us all. We'll stop here for the salah. The questions, by Allah's permission, will be after the salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. And we ask Allah to help our brothers in Gaza and in the West Bank and around the world. And allow us to be on the right side of history. Wallahu alam.